What you're coming to coaching for.
Hi, my name is Regina Askmanudina. I'm a new student, so I've never had a coaching class, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen. And I just recently realized one thing from my childhood that kind of impacts my life. And so basically I have sometimes I have fear of like extreme conditions and more fear of the normal people. So I thought that something was happening with me when I was a kid that provoked it because I was very brave as a little girl. And this, or like I know, like for example, washing floor I was just washing floor in the kitchen this week. I was washing under the fridge, and then this like picture from my childhood knowledge came that like a girl washed the floor under the fridge and she died of electricity. So, and then I'm like, okay, where does it come from? And then I remembered that when I was 6, in Russia we start school, 1st grade at 7. So I was 6 and my kindergarten was closed for construction. So my mom was working in governmental Russian, insurance agency. And I was kind of like shadowing her for 6 months before 1st grade, doing all insurance cases, going to the office, discussing all statistics. I loved it, but now I realize that I know all the statistics from there, and that's why I'm more like cautious of some things, I was thinking that it's my grandma probably was nagging me, don't go there, but I just discovered this weekend probably that was that, like 6-year-old listening to all statistics, going to the families of people that died in an accident or something like this,
Yeah.
So probably that kind of created more stuff. So yeah, I kind of want to kind of clear it, and I'm not sure how.
And not sure how. All right, Regina, that's a great story, and I appreciate you telling me that and having an insight. So, just now and readily sharing that. So I'm going to describe the coaching process to you a little bit because you're new to coaching. And myself as a coach, I really enjoy working with people over something that they've struggled to get but haven't been able to on their own. And that's really what coaching's about. It's like somebody who sits outside the box you struggle in, who can actually give you, serve as a facilitator, a co-journeyer on this path for you. And I think that coaching generally, as we teach it here in CIS, relates to health, but health can be physical, and it can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be all sorts of aspects. And coaching relationships usually last, no less than 4 to 6 weeks. We try to have them last about 3 months, but it really depends on you and your goals as well, and how it's progressing. Also, a little bit about accountability. Sometimes you think you have a coach who's going to kind of be over you saying, what? You didn't do this? I'm your coach and I told you to. But I'm not the one that you're accountable to. In coaching, you remain accountable to yourself. So I just kind of help remind you of promises you made to yourself, of ways that you said you were going to be responsible to yourself. Okay? So I'm not a judge or jury or anything else. And I'm not really just the best friend. Because in a best friend relationship, a best friend can sympathize and say, gosh, that shouldn't have happened to you. But it's not the same as coaching. Coaching will ask sometimes very powerful questions, provocative questions, that can spur you to action that wouldn't necessarily happen in just a friendship. So it's a very unique relationship, and it's not therapy as well. If something comes up that I think is much more suited to psychotherapy, I will be honest with you and say, that's out of the scope of our practice right now. Okay? So that's coaching in a nutshell, and a way for you all to hear how to explain it very briefly, very casually, too. And get the accountability talk in there. Remember the accountability talk. Okay, so in coaching, I often start just a session by saying, what is it that you would like to see a coach for? What would you like to work on? Is there something you want to achieve in your life that may be hard to do it on your own, but with a coach a little easier? So just what you talked
Yeah,
about.
kind of being more brave.
Well, brave, look at this courage, yeah, because you had this insight just a minute ago that was all about, this fear that I have. It kind of strikes me as irrational about being electrocuted or being this or that or worried. And all these trips with your mother in the insurance field of hearing disasters and all the bad things that can happen to people. You think that went into your little childhood brain?
I think so, yeah, because it's more of than fear that something happened to me, but more like scientific, statistical, not really fear, but cautiousness. And I just got, decided this week that's what it.
Yeah, it could have been
Kind
some of that
one
seeping
of those.
into that
Yeah.
impressive little childhood brain, right? And when somebody has a hunch about their early childhood like that, I trust that hunch, Generally, they're pretty accurate. You know your life better than anybody, better than I would ever know it. So if we just give that some credibility right now and say, there's a lot of things that happen to kids that basically guide some of their actions as adults without them fully being aware of it. But once you bring awareness to it, you have more choice point to play with. So in coaching, I would have you this week, I'm going to ask you to do a little homework if you're willing, and that is to take an online Enneagram quiz. Did you ever do your Enneagram? No? Okay. Enneagram is this 9 personality typing kind of system, but it's much deeper than that. It's got a really profound psycho-emotional spiritual base to it. And there is one particular number within the scheme of things that is very vigilant and is always kind of on the lookout for danger. And it'll be interesting to me to see how your Enneagram spells out.
6. She's 6.
Okay, will you do that? There's a couple quizzes. You just put in Google Enneagram, I'll spell it for you, and quiz, free quiz. And take a couple of them, and then if you wouldn't mind text me your answer in that. And there's a beauty to being vigilant when it's controlled. A little bit, because they wind up making great leaders in life. You know why? Because they can always predict what could go wrong, and they find a way to sidestep it and come up with a solution and a strategy before anybody else. That's why they're such great leaders. Do you also do that?
I do something and I have all my resources, everything laid out. And
Everything laid out.
come
Yep.
up with an outcome. Or like if I walk the street, I kind of know everything was going, and then.
Do we hear her?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear her. Yes.
Yeah, so.
They already know your number, even if you don't. It's okay.
But it's not disadvantage, yeah.
Not a
Message, but sometimes to go skydiving or snowboarding from the Black Skull Mountain, Diamond Mountain. Something like extreme things I want to do, but something stopping me, and that's what I want to kind of fight and fear.
Do you want to be fearless?
Yes.
Yes? What would that mean?
I think.
Is there some value in fear?
I think it's like living to the fullest, like or bungee jumping or something.
Yeah.
More like experience.
Bungee jumping, black diamond runs. So,
Well, at this point, I know I will never do something like this, but never say never. So, yeah. So that's where I would like to think with 2 steps towards.
taking steps towards it, wanting to push that boundary a little bit. I can hear you saying, don't want to just be in this little safe box. Want to be able to have more courage and to push this boundary a little bit. Okay, if that's a true desire on your part, I think so. See, I'm hearing a little trepidation about that. And there's putting on a consultant hat for a second, there's something about this one particular number in the Enneagram that says, sometimes I push myself, and it's called counterphobia, of I know I'm scared about this, but I'm going to do something counterphobic. I'm going to push against that phobia just so that I don't feel like I'm in this box. And the other 6 is a phobic 6, which says, no, I'm scared of that, and I'm not doing that. Forget it. And they're fine with that. They live with that. But the counterphobic 6 is always at odds with, I shouldn't be afraid of that. I should jump off a bungee jump. I should go down that double diamond hill. And that's a lot to work with. Yeah, well, I would extend our coaching time together to work with that. Okay, because that's taking out a lot.
The second one now, that I'm accepting that I have some kind of, boundary.
Mhm.
But I want to push it, but I'm not blaming myself.
Not blaming yourself for it. Okay.
At this point.
Okay, good. Let's look at a little bit of life history and do a little bit of exploring with me so you get a sense of this. Is there an example or in the recent past, in your recent history, where you stopped yourself from doing something that you really wanted to, just out of a little fear?
Well, yeah, one of my best friends just got a private pilot license,
Mm-hmm.
and he likes to fly, just to get a pizza in Sacramento, for example. But I'm not the first to jump on the plane. Even though I like flying, but I'm like, okay, I'll wait for a couple of years to get your experience.
He's a novice, yeah.
More of a, I want to do it, but I just don't want to do it here because he's kind of fresh.
It's kind of fresh, just got that license.
Yeah.
So that might strike 5 out of 10 people as reasonable,
Yeah.
maybe 8 out of 10. That's a reasonable judgment. And the beauty of having that scanner work for you, the danger scanner, is that in truth, you do see problems and you can sidestep them with good solutions like that. Get some more hours under your belt, pilot. Yeah. So in a sense, how disappointing is that for you to curtail an activity that you evaluated as not that safe?
Well, for me, thinking about like snowboarding or this accident, for me it's more like, okay, but some friends did it, and how am I compared to the friend group? I think for me, this is the biggest challenge, like a comparison. Like, why some people can do it and I don't want to do it?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so when you compare, that's when you feel the level of distress about it, okay. We could look at that more, we could do some work around that. I'm kind of compelled
I don't want to do too much.
to, don't worry, they're all listening for how I handle each sentence here. What I would do with her, because we're kind of going around in some vague circles here, is I would pull out the wellness wheel, okay? Because she's mentioned fear and wanting more courage, but we gotta fasten this onto something now, okay? And so with this wellness wheel, I'm gonna do a little exercise with you. And I would say, here's nutrition, and here's physical exercise, and here's personal relationships and intimacy, and here's like occupation and career, and this is spirituality, and this is da-da-da-da-da-da. And so I would say, on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being, I eat a perfect diet, I am so happy with my diet, it's at a 10. Or, no, I eat sugar, fat, and salt, and that's all I eat. I'm going to give myself a 2. I would have you fill out this wheel. Physical, I exercise about half as much as I want. Personality, our personal relationship, it's a 9. I got a good, strong marriage, I love and we're together. I would have you fill out each section of this. This might be environment, this might be social relations other than personal, okay? And mental health and psychological health, environment. I would have you fill out each section of this wheel. And perhaps, Regina, it would be a very lumpy wheel. And I'd say to you, overall, 100% wellness means that our wheel rolls smoothly in life. It's not lumpy. And after you scored in all of these, I'd say, is there an area here that you're willing to look at with your coach? So, just giving it a brief glance now, out of eating, exercise, intimacy, job, spirituality, environment, social, mental. Which dimension would you care to focus on in a coaching relationship?
Occupation, since I'm changing mode.
Since you're changing mode, right? Graduate school. Are you working part-time right now? No, okay, so this is kind of on hold. This is going to be down here.
Yeah.
Except for, full-blown graduate school. Very often, when I give this wellness wheel to students, they say, yeah, I'm scoring low here because my job is on hold, my career is on hold. Completely understandable. But if this is something that we can look at in terms of plotting out some goals and short-term actions and long-term living, what would you want with this?
Yeah, kind of. Now it's my debate whether be a full-time student and wait, or until I can earn money with a new profession, or make money with my old profession, or do something else on the side which is not relevant, to basically how to support it without compromising my studies. Add some income. Or versus starting my own business, which right now I'm also highly considering and doing research and trying to see how it all can, fit well.
Good. All right, she's laid out several things. What happens, coaches, when somebody lays out several things like that?
Maybe scaling or prioritizing.
Scale, prioritize, explore. We're in exploration stage. You have to stay in exploration a bit longer. She didn't mention one thing that you could start really moving with. So exploration, when it's prolonged, sounds like this. Regina, you've thrown out a few possibilities here. 100% work, starting your own business, doing a little bit of business and school, balancing. All right. And is this something you've been thinking about for a while? Or is this kind of new for you?
No, it's been
Think about it, yeah. And I know when you got that opportunity to maybe design a mind-body wellness program for Salesforce, that brought in your tech background, it brought in the mind-body, the stress that people have there.
Yes, it's really interesting. I think in the long run, it can be one of, in the long run, I may want to be a vendor for such companies, and in the short run, in the short term, I'm not sure how I can monetize this opportunity at this point, other than just putting my face to the company and maybe continue relationship.
That's it. And what else is one of the unknowns? I mean, right now you're going to school, it's the spring semester, don't have that. And then summer you'll have this break, and fall another, a heavier load with some of the more serious courses that we're going to be throwing at you. So when you consider how things will be changed over summer and into fall again.
Yeah, that's, I never like to do nothing, so basically I occupy myself very quick, and probably over the summer I either would get a job or pursue my own something venture, and it depends, or might be volunteering to something relevant to the degree.
To the degree, sure.
And have some side work, something like that. But yeah, because we have again heavy load fall semester, I can't plan my career in the long term. It's kind of a 3 months full involvement, which I can't really.
It's a constantly morphing animal here, isn't it?
Yes.
It's always like trying to get your hands around it. All right, part-time, whoops, a lot of time in the summer, oh, big load. Yeah. So with that kind of constantly amorphous, always changing landscape, planning is even harder, especially for somebody who sees pitfalls, danger lurking in around every corner. That's right. So, what would be a comfortable thing to do right now? What would provide you with a short-term goal that would be aligned with you feeling like you're moving ahead with your occupation, but not biting off so much that it's going to disrupt an entire 5-month planning cycle?
Yeah, I think I should just be more brave and move towards doing my own thing and have little steps towards my business.
Nice.
And, and it doesn't necessarily have to be my final
Thing, yeah.
Just something.
All right, let's explore this a little bit, because that one keeps coming up to the top. Do my own thing. Do you hear that too? She said it a few times now. Let's put some meat and bones around this thing. What is doing my own thing? And just sky's the limit now. Just, even if it's part-time and small, just dream big. Don't put any tight wrapper on it just yet. Allow it to breathe. What would be the ideal?
Well, I have in mind, but I don't know.
Your voice is getting really little. It must be a really incredible idea.
Well, no. Well, the thing is, it's either going technical and creating an app or something which I can pull resources for it, or the other one creating some kind of small product and try to distribute it. But keeping in mind, I have this idea of sustainability for both for product and technology, because resources that go into it are both valuable, and how valuable this product, whenever it's just information technology or something physical, what type of value it will bring to the world. So that's what I'm thinking. Or like, does this world even need more stuff? That's where my kind of big question.
But if you're going to create stuff, it better well be sustainable.
Yeah.
And do we even need it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like how, again, trying to sell and take someone's money, how it's ethically, like how, so the question is to create really a product that will bring benefits to people. And also
Real value, real benefits.
Yeah.
Not just one more tech gadget that we don't really need, or the world doesn't need.
Yeah, or like an app that, investors might be blowing up and then the thing is closed.
And then it's closed, because you've seen plenty of tech startup come and go. So hang on to all those considerations. We're going to put them in a box. We're going to put a bow on them over here. All the ways that Regina's good, complex mind comes up with an idea and then sort of comes up with all the ideas about why not to do the idea. It sounds like a familiar way of operating. And now come back to what drove you to go to graduate school in integrative health to begin with? What made you say, I'm leaving this big-time IT job right now and I'm going to school?
Yeah, because I wanted to do something meaningful.
Yeah.
And being in marketing, I love marketing as it is, but selling the product that I believe in and that I trust in and that I think it brings value to the world. It's not just like tricking someone into buying this, and just loving the product. So that's why I was thinking that I want to market products that I love, and then I was kind of created my chart of things that I love, and then ended up that, okay, I want to go towards the wellness
Yes.
thing, and ended up.
Ended up here. So what I'm doing with Regina is values exploration, right? We did exploration a little bit, like what would be the dream thing, but now we've got to anchor this to her values. And she says meaningful. It's got to be meaningful for her. That's what made her stop her career and actually come back to school. I need something that makes sense to me, that's meaningful, that's wellness. And so we may have to do 2-3 sessions just on values and strength and anchoring this in her. She's got a great complex mind that goes into many directions at once. And the coaching challenge for me with Regina is refunneling, relating, and anchoring to her values. There would probably be no project that she would carry off that did not have strong tie-in with her values right now. Do you hear that in her talk? Because you're really good at creating little detours and cul-de-sacs. Yeah. I'm walking this way. Oh, I don't know about that. No, I'm walking this way. I don't know about that anymore. Yeah. But that's fine. That's high intelligence too, and it's a 6 thing. And so we're going to work with her 6ness. She's going to come back and say, I was an 8. No, I don't believe you're an 8. But you do the 8. Right?
We all want to know, so let us know.
They'll all want to know.
I don't know how I had the courage to get up. It was spontaneous.
Yeah, you do. You have a lot of courage. 6s are loaded with courage. Are you kidding? They do. They wind up being more CEOs than just about any other. Yeah. And it's because...
Be a housewife, I can't. It's not working.
You have a beautiful self-deprecating manner sometimes when you dismiss a compliment. Yeah. But you're going to learn to take them. That wasn't a coaching setting. They all know that. Meg didn't coach, I'd say. Oh my goodness. Well, we would do a wellness wheel. We would look at occupation. I would lay out more things with her right here. And do a values and strengths inventory for sure. Okay. And then I would ask this question too. What would you like out of this coaching session? What would make you feel like, yes, I got something out of this session. It was worthwhile for me before we ended it.
I think it would be some actionable homework that would make me want to return to the session and to kind of create a measurable result for myself and to something to report.
All right, you've got it. And that kind of a measurable result, what aspect of your life would you like that measurable result about? What part of your life? You want to stick with this one, or do you want to look at something else? What else is
Overall,
up
I
there?
would like to do something crazy sport activity, but I'm not sure it's going to happen sooner, so I think occupation is more attainable.
Okay, this might be more attainable. And a big part of coaching is keeping the zest in life. So this one sounds attainable and reasonable, but since you've mentioned that wild wacko sport thing, what's lurking in the background of your mind that you're interested in? What would be the first sport that you could actually stick your toe in and feel like, I'm willing to try this one out?
Probably something like flying.
I think so, something with flying. Like jumping, parachuting, soaring, learning to fly.
I think I will just start with this hot balloon thing.
Hot balloons, hot air balloons.
Yeah, and then maybe playing with my friend and then jumping.
It's a whole lot of airborne stuff here.
Yes.
Yes. You know, and hot air balloons. What are the ways that you like to investigate things? What's your typical way of checking out some information for yourself on something you don't know about?
Well, I just saw on Facebook that in the beginning of June there is a big festival of hot air balloons in Napa. It's 25-year celebration, something fair. So I think I'm going to do it there.
It's
It'll be like
beautiful.
a lot of them in the sky.
Oh,
And some time to prepare for it. But it's not really that, crazy. It's just a hot air balloon. But I think it's then I can fly with my friend.
yeah.
When it's not like a passenger plane, but just one person
two-seater, right?
operated.
I know, a little prop going around. But I think that doing the hot air balloon makes sense like a first thing. Kind of interesting. You're going to check that
Kind
out.
of diving into the lake would be,
And then the full
Yeah.
bungee jump off the cliff? No, okay. So, adding a little zest in life to this kind of reasonable, good, solid nature of yours. Balancing this wellness wheel was a little zany fun, a little something out of the comfort box, but doing it a step at a time. So what I'm doing is summarizing. I'm summarizing a lot. And I'm also summarizing in a way and interpreting it in my fashion and seeing if she nods or if something feels off about that. Did you see what this is? This adds the fun factor back in. Yeah. And with a little bit of courage. Maybe a lot of courage. Yeah. So, one little piece of homework that you could assign yourself this week until I see you next week. It could be one little action. It could be something as simple as going online and looking up some dates, finding a friend to go with.
Create a Facebook event page, invite friends and tell them I'm going to do it, and I can't already
Yeah.
like.
I can't wait. You got a lot of Facebook friends here. You're willing to check that out. And how would you like to be responsible and accountable to yourself, that you actually pulled that off? How can I support you in being responsible to yourself? You want an email from me, a text from me? What would help you midweek if you saw something from Meg to pull off that?
Definitely email.
Just a little email reminder, kind of? Okay. And you don't even have to answer it, but it's just a one little reminder email from me. I promise you that. Wow, you got a plan.
But overall, I think it's helping with like structuring, talking it out loud and saying it to yourself, I'm going to do it. I'm not just thinking about it, but I said it. So
That's right. Coaching makes the intangible tangible, and it does it with a smaller baby step too. You don't have to take on the entire stratosphere of courage right now, but you're doing a fun little hot air balloon. And you're also looking at, we're going to do some work on values and meaningful life, so you're not just going to jump into another IT thing that you question within seconds. Is this sustainable? Is this even meaningful? Well, we're going to probably spend some sessions on values and strengths too. Good. Okay, thank you. She's out of here. I have a client who runs down the hall to get away.